Great. Welcome to this presentation. I'm going to tell you something today about Rocket.Chat. And Rocket.Chat is an open source implementation to work together, to have your group chats, to have your meetings, to have your third-party services, integrations. It looks very much like Slack. And I want to see some hands here. Who knows about Slack? Wow, that's about 80% of the room is using Slack. Great. Let's first tell a little bit about me. I'm Floris van Geel, and you can find me on IRC at Zelfje, and over OLab or Zelfje or Floris if you find me on the Slack. I'm not on every Slack channel server, only on 18 of them. And I call myself a Drupal entrepreneur, which means that about 60% of my time I work for my clients, having their problems solved. And about 40% of my time, not always, but I try to get to 40%, I develop own products for my company. So, today, I start off with some history. The things before we all were in the Slack. Then we make a nice comparison between Slack and the Rocket.Chat. And then some extension to do Skype-like calls with the infrastructure. Then I'm going to tell about the Drupal module that we built for Drupal 7 and 8. Where that is going to lead to, where we want to go to, and maybe you can have some nice input there. And finally, of course, the call for action to have you all use it and replace the Slack with the Rocket.Chat. Anyway, since '88, we've been communicating as developers on IRC. It's an invention by Jarkko Oikarinen in Finland, and he did it here at the university to replace another legacy system. And it was adopted worldwide since the 90s. And you saw a quite exponential growth over time, and there were many different services. And the great thing about IRC is that it is a decentralized network. So all the IRC servers, they have specific locations on the earth, and you connect to there, you chat with that, and between them, they exchange what data is said in typing. And the systems to do so were all easy accessible for everybody, if you can operate a client or a web browser, as well as open source, so we could improve them and get the bugs out. And then, just over a few years ago, we all massively migrated and converted to Slack. Why? Usually it is because of the bots that you can integrate, the group-like structure, which is about the same as in IRC, personal messages, which is about the same as in IRC. The only thing is that some company raised $30 million and built this into a software as a service system, and it looked much prettier than IRC. So en masse, we moved to using Slack. If we look at Rocket.Chat, it almost looks the same. You have your servers, your channels, your personal messages, as well as the thing at hand, which you can discuss. Furthermore, there is certain features, which I come down to later, that are not yet in Slack, but are available in Rocket.Chat. The main difference here is that it's all open source. It was born in Brazil from people who were slightly fed up with current systems. So they start building this. And in the end, last year they raised 2 million in order to make it bigger and make it better and to market it around the world. It's built on Meteor, which is a JavaScript-like language. It uses a MongoDB database, which means that it can have huge amounts of history. which we can have in the Slack as well if we pay a lot of money per user. And in general, you serve it off with Nginx. You of course have the URL certificate on top of it, so it's secure enough between the provider and the client. And it has the integration of bots, U-bots, Git commit bots, and all kinds of other bots you can use to have your workflow better and optimized. To start with it, you can just download the Docker and run it on your local machine, and then start playing with it, start working with it. And it also provides Ansible scripts, so you can easily deploy it in virtualization containers or other more professional hosting solutions. One of the great features is that you have a little button where you can call all the people in your group. And that uses Jitsi Meet, which is also an open source tool set. And that's a WebRTC client. And what a WebRTC client does is it makes a connection between Jim and Geel and starts the connection. And then Jim and Geel's browser, they just call with each other. It can have of course, the audio, it can have video, but it can also have screen sharing. And there is some startup beta stuff where you can even do co-browsing, which is really interesting if you are developing Drupal sites. So after all the screen recording and stuff, we need to reload. Else my little demo doesn't work. Ah, there we are. This is the web UI of Jitsi Meet, and this is my telephone. It's looking at you. And there's also another one which is looking at me. It is not responding due to our lovely screen capture device. So imagine that you're in a team and you say, okay, we do now a group meeting. You don't need to load up the Skype and the Skype doesn't crash. No, you just click on it and you open a WebRTC browser and start talking together. That's what it's intended for. And we tested this at the lab with 60 clients. No issue, just worked. So if we compare and we look at the feature frenzy between or with Slack and the Rocket.Chat, both are well equipped to be hosted, to be run on Windows and Mac and Android and iOS, of course. But Slack for Linux, you need to install a third-party tool and then hook up the account somewhat. No, Rocket has the Linux supported out of the box. The main difference why I, as an organization, chose to go for the Rocket and not for the Slack is that it's open source and not proprietary. So if I want to extend it, if I want to change it, I can just do it. And if I want to fix a bug, then I can do it as well. That also, proprietary also brings that if for Drupal.org we have an invite bot and we can have like 40,000 messages or 10,000, I don't know, I forgot. And then we don't have any history anymore. So we're actually throwing away knowledge that we chatted about and we can't ever use that anymore. In IRC, we used to have we still have it, the DrupalCamp bot, and the DrupalCamp bot takes a log account of everything that's said in the channels that the bot monitors. And you can do a log pointer and you can scroll back on a website and find, oh, that's the answer to my question. Great, now I can fix my bug. Screen sharing is not yet available in Slack, but I suppose that they would make it in the near future. Of course, it is in the Rocket.Chat. One of the downsides of the Rocket.Chat is that it is self-hosted. There is providers who do this for money, of course. It's a disadvantage and an advantage at the same time. If you know how it works, it's not really that complicated, but maintaining and operating is what I've noticed in community and companies, a barrier. They prefer to just put some money at the company and say, well, I need to have this now. But investing a little bit of time and effort has a great value. Service integrations, they're about equivalent. You can do all the Jira stuff, all the GitLab, GitHub, whatever version control system that is somewhat self-respectable, works in both. Do-it-yourself integrations, both have proper APIs. For an open source project, the Rocket.Chat documentation is actually quite good. So that's a plus there. Video conferencing is not yet there, but it might come in Slack. And of course, all the clients and known gateways from the past are implemented everywhere. So that's nice. We had it first in a Docker container and later in XC. We could do the Slack stuff ourselves, but then I thought it would be nice to also have this in Drupal. So I went Googling around the internet and I found Geel, and he's from Tunisia, and he made as a graduation project an integration for Drupal 8. It was a very rough diamond as a module. So what we did is find this person and talk with him. Okay, nice, you have this module, what's your intention? Is it GPL? Oh, no, there was no license. So I asked him, can you make it GPL too, so we can use your code and use it on Drupal.org and continue developing and working together? Yeah, sure. So he did. And we moved it to Drupal.org and refactored it and made it into a Drupal 8 and Drupal 7 module. So you can just install it on your website, hook it up to your Rocket instance, and what you get then? Then you get live chat from anonymous users to this somewhat support channel in your Rocket. Of course, you've already installed the Rocket.Chat, so you have the basic Rocket.Chat functionality. And if you hook the Jitsi Meet on top of it, you can also do the video conferencing. Currently not from the website, but it will look like this. So you have your website, and then you have this little window. And in this little window, you can directly chat as anonymous users with your sales support or other employees. If not online, no problem. You just leave your email. It can also be done at the end of the conversation. And it makes a nice JSON array, which you can utilize and put in your CRM systems. So that's currently what you have when you download the Rocket.Chat module for Drupal. That's nice. So where do we want to go from there? I would love to see the whole Drupal community, but also other communities, as well as companies, converting to this and working together to extend it and make it better. Have your company chat private within your company. Have public chats easy accessible for new community members of other people who are interested. So for the Drupal.org module, I'm not fully convinced which is the right order to do this, but it would be really nice if logged in users in the website can communicate together. We might adopt the DrupalChat module and build the Rocket.Chat integration on top of that, or we find another one which is at that time most stable and has the most active community. For proof of concept, we did the iframe integration. That worked. Okay. From there on, if you have an organic group site and you have private groups, you can chat within the website with your peers in your group. You can even chain down and call with each other. Then you get to notifications. They're already built in via mail, the same as you get from the Slack when people were talking in your channels. Doing this directly from your Drupal website has one main asset, is that you can do link sharing. You can do co-browsing. People from your employees can have the end user be redirected to a different page where they can buy a product, or they can find their documents or their support or whatever is in your business logic. Further down the road, it's a matter of file sharing. there's still 3 scenarios here. It could be in CMIS, where you can integrate with file versioning systems like Alfresco or maybe other that support this protocol. It could be Drupal file handling. In general, Drupal file handling, revisioning is not always that perfect, but it might get there. And of course, screen sharing. Not only having video chat, but also sharing the screen and then remotely help your customers to fix their local computer or mental problems so they can actually use your systems and your websites. That would be perfect. So, then we want the next one. Up. So the next step. Thereafter would be to have asynchronous collaboration on documents, on web pages, on all these kinds of interesting interactions. In the end, if you look at this from a bird's eye view, it's all endpoints. You have an endpoint of your chat, you have an endpoint of your file system, you have a node ID of your web page. And if you can hook those up together, well, it's amazing. Of course, due to that you have the Mongo database for all the chats, you can store them and you can link these communications for future references, legal audit trails and other important business steps. And because you do it, you have it in your own hands, either at a provider or in your own infrastructure, you have the audit trails and the security that you were the ones that changed it and were discussing, and nobody else is listening and taking away your secrets or documents or whatever is that you are discussing in your process. For the security thing, that's why I had this distributed network in the start in the IRC. There's another framework which goes on top of all these peer-to-peer chat services. It's called the Matrix, and this slide will link, and then you find a website that has different integrations and different clients where you can make one Rocket.Chat server to another Rocket.Chat server and have those securely linked. Okay, now we had from the Rocket.Chat to the Drupal. Then the next problem arose, how to get the other way around. So we needed to make a pull request for Rocket.Chat to have it able to cope with authentication of Drupal users, because I don't want my people to create yet another account in the Rocket.Chat in order to start chatting. No, they don't want that. They just want to chat. They're not interested in this account that they get extra and where they can forget their username, because people in general use like 3 passwords everywhere. So what we did is we made a Drupal OAuth integration with the Commerce Guys OAuth 2 server module that we run in the Drupal site. So people who log into the Rocket.Chat can authenticate via the Drupal and then start chatting. And after some updates and things, it got committed. That's nice, to the development branch, which means that in the next final release, it will be included, and next to other single sign-on providers, Drupal will be there as well. Awesome. So now my call comes to you. We're looking for help. Communities that want to try this out, they want to adapt it. People who are working on CRM systems or personal data storage, whatever devices, systems, apps, etc. Start joining the issue queue, make integrations, collaboration built on top of each other's knowledge. So that's the main giveaway. So in the end, the message is stop slacking when the universe is our limit. And these are the sponsors. This is the last slide. I didn't need the first slide because I already had a great opening. And then it's time for questions. And if there's no questions, I can learn you a trick. But we can do it afterwards anyway, because I'm in the last slot. Yes?
Is the Sandstorm port up to date?
The Sandstorm port.
Yes, Sandstorm.io is a platform where multiple web applications runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like vegan, which I mind and currently, and there are also other applications for git hosting and so on.
I don't know, Sandstorm, maybe?
Okay, maybe some other
and
person has done the intended port if you don't know about it.
And this is external cloud service where you log into and do your stuff there? Or?
It's an open source platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's also made with Method mostly, as is Trello that is I mean vegan that is similar to Trello kind of board. So what was the question?
The question was if Rocket.Chat has integration with this Sandstorm. Yes. That's what your question was, and my question was, is this a cloud service? Or is it open source that we can run and have like distributed?
Currently, they do currently have also cloud service where the updates come.
Yeah.
There was previously Sandstorm company that had some proprietary enterprise add-ons, but because there was not very good enterprise sales. Maybe about zero, then they open source the rest of the platform. Okay.
So it could be something comparable.
So in that platform there is already Rocket.Chat, but is this all functionality actually?
But if I may interrupt, what kind of integrations you're looking at? You spawn up a new web app and you want to inform a group chat about it, because then you can use the APIs and you just need to hook it up to your whatever the Sandstorm is doing.
Yeah, because some of vegan users have wished that there is a Rocket.Chat integration to vegan. So I need to look at what they really want of the integration.
Yeah, and I'll look up what the Sandstorm does.
Yeah.
I know that for the matrix, which makes the bridge between the different chat servers and different asynchronous communication, there is a lot of other integrations. So it might be that Sandstorm goes to Matrix and Matrix goes to Rocket. I don't know.
Yeah, because each of those applications run on each person's own server, and there is multiple applications running at the same time. Although mostly, if something is not in use, it's shut down and then automatically started. So the communication, the applications in the platform are currently communicating within the platform using KPMP, and in which stage is this implementation of connecting those Rocket chats on different servers together?
This is a new question. Yes.
Yeah. So is this in the future plan that
yes.
you connect all these servers together, or is it something already implemented?
For Rocket.Chat itself, it's a single server where you get, just like as in Slack, the different balloons and logos of the different servers that you connect to. However, there is no longer a limit that we have now with Slack, that you have a maximum and you have too much of those. We could just make one big one for Drupal. And inter-server connections, distributed network, is not in the roadmap of Rocket.Chat. However, there is other systems like the matrix that facilitate it already. So there's no need to put it in the Rocket.Chat. You can just run the matrix on top of a set of Rocket.Chat nodes.
What is the website of Matrix?
Matrix.org.
Okay.
It will be also in the slides in the link. And the slides can be found at rockets.overolab.com. They are already there, but these ones are slightly extended. I will update them later. Yeah. Yes. Other questions? Yes.
I was wondering that we have problems with forums at one of our client sites.
Yes.
And would it be somehow be able to replace the forums in a sense that we can do many similar things here? For example, the point is that the clients there, they are buying different kind of devices and different kind of programs to their devices and would like to share the information and how they feel about the devices and products and how they are using it and so forth. So it seems that this might be one option, or at least if you can log the information.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever used it, or have you seen that it has been used to some kind of this kind of situation that you are replacing the forum?
Yes. So actually you're asking two questions. Would I use this to replace a forum?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's peer-to-peer, direct, and it's used to facilitate groups to negotiate, communicate together. The forums is an ancient problem, just like email, which we didn't solve yet. There is use cases like Stack Exchange where people vote on it, so you have an improved forum. And I'm still looking for a different solution that could replace the old forum. For the problem in a forum is that you have so many threads that your data and your answers, since it's always question-answer problem, are not well structured enough, so you cannot find your question. So people start making new questions and then you get clutter and then the forum becomes not useful anymore.
Yeah.
What you could do with this kind of technology, because there's an API, you can address people, okay, your question, which you ask here in the chat, just as DrupalCamp as a chatbot does, you can find on this webpage, which might be a forum, which might be a Q&A, which might be a Drupal Stack Exchange, because there's also a distribution that does almost Stack Exchange. So I don't think that it will replace the forum. However, the forum itself is questionable. But I'm still...
It doesn't
Yes.
have to be a forum. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be similar. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be the same.
Yes.
But it just should serve the purpose that persons that want to discuss about something would have some channel to discuss
Yes.
about the device.
Okay. Okay. So as a replacement for slow chat, yes.
Yeah.
In my opinion, email is also slow chat, because you get an email and then you get a phone and then they ask, did you get my email? Yes, I've got 350 from you. Which one?
Yeah.
So you have the notifications if you use the app or you have it running on your desktop, so you know that something happens. It does send the email like this and this and this happened in your channels. So in that case, for slow chat, it could be a replacement for the forum. However, a forum should not be used as slow chat. It should be like a Q&A where you have answer to your questions.
Yeah.
If there's too many of the same questions. And I'm still looking for a solution for the forum. So the answer is no. It doesn't replace the forum, but it replaces the slow chat, which is where the forum is being abused for.
Yeah, because I don't believe that our client needs a forum. I think they don't need a forum.
No.
And I'm thinking some other solution to
Yes, yes.
fulfill their needs.
Yes. And in practice, you see that they make a frequently asked question,
Yeah.
where all the basic common mistakes and common answers are collected and that you can filter with views and have it finished. But yeah.
Can this
media company web page uses Facebook API where people can chat about latest news. So does this have some kind of moderator properties so someone can watch over it?
At this point, no. It's a funnel for people from the internet to people inside your Rocket.Chat as support and communication. But further down the road, you could do that. You could take the session of the person that lands on the Drupal side, and you could just have them in a Facebook-style chat user interface. For example, DrupalChat almost looks the same. You could just hook up the two endpoints and have them communicate. Then you come to the second part of your question, which is about moderation. That's either a human solution or an AI solution. So you need to hook up some AI to have a forum monitor, not forum, chat room monitoring, and therefore do it. Or a third option, which I prefer, is to do community monitoring. Some people who are active in the chats, give them a little bit of elevation status, and they can correct themselves. Does this answer your question?
Yes.
Great. Yes?
Could this be used as a help desk system, so there's email, website, chat, and so on, and link all those information together?
Yes.
Is the implementation already?
We didn't provide the rules yet. That's the missing step there. So if person comes in through the little support window, and then it gets to the CRM. So I would make a trigger on the hook when the CRM information comes in, and then go to your issue queue or whatever that you use behind it.
Okay.
So the answer is maybe. The basic is there, but the rules are not implemented yet.
Okay.
Yes?
Can I read private chats?
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yes, OTR. Yes. Out of the box, Rocket.Chat supports OTR. So if we want to chat privately in personal message, I send you an OTR request, you answer it, and then our communication is encrypted with just above standard encryption.
So you can even share passwords over that?
Yes. Yes. It's not implemented in the Drupal module because that's only the client support part, but it might be in the near future. Yes. Anyone else?
Coming back to this
Yes.
question, if you use it as a help desk service, will it be able to log tickets as completed? How will that work? How will you log the ticket?
Ah, yes, with the U-bot.
If you use it as help desk, coming back to this
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
for supporting, so
Yes.
you use this for ticketing.
Yes.
Are you able to map the tickets?
Yes.
As completed?
The same way as you do on a commit a message. There is a U-bot standard in Rocket.Chat, and U-bot is an open source bot which has an extended library of integrations with all kinds of ticketing, but also with JSON API. So with that, you can use your services. I assume that you have a Drupal ticketing system with support module, maybe. That has the option to have your services endpoint, and with the U-bot, you throw the JSON in there, and then it completes the ticket. So if your question is there an out-of-the-box solution? The answer is no. And yes, there's enough opportunities to make great integrations. That's also a thing with the CRM, that there's the CRM core, and there's another CRM distribution, which are in Drupal almost quite valid CRM systems. And then there is some old, no, not old, I shouldn't say that. There's some big legacy Drupal-based CRMs. I don't name them now because I don't want to flame anybody. And integrating all of those, I didn't do it yet. I will make a feature module for CRM core, just to see how it works, and yeah, from there on people can pick it up and integrate it in their favorite flavor of Drupal CRM. Any other questions? Yes.
Have you used Microsoft Teams?
Microsoft what?
Teams.
Themes.
Teams.
Teams. What's that?
It's like after they misunderstood like group chat with this other stuff, then they went for Teams, which is more like group chat aware. Like
Oh, like that. Oh, yeah, no. Can you use Skype? No. Then they bought Skype because that one failed, no?
yeah, the Skype for business stuff.
That one, yeah. They bought the real Skype and for a gazillion amount of monies, and then
Was the link and
Yes, 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 yes,
Skype
yes,
for
yes,
business,
yes.
and that even doesn't like
Okay.
notification and
yes,
stuff.
yes, I get it. If the other system has a proper API, then yes, you can integrate it. It's the same legacy answer I give with all legacy systems. If they don't have a proper API, yeah, you spend more money on consultants in order to make it work.
Yes, and I was thinking about you were comparing to Slack and Rocket.Chat. So
Yes.
what do you think about Teams compared to Rocket.Chat?
I have no idea. I've seen my wife work with Link. They can also do group chat, but group calls is somewhat limited. But
Not actually, now they have the browser plugin.
yes. Yeah, it's always a trade-off. If you have the big certified gold membership license for Microsoft and you get these cookies for free, you just use them. But if you, for me, I'm a small company, so if I want to have this Microsoft product, I have to pay per user for it. And then my data goes into their cloud. And then, who else has access? I don't know. So personally, I tend to go for the do it properly, open source, valid products. And yeah.
I think to answer your question
Yes.
also a bit more, you can easily like compare the team to Slack, and then we see already the same. It's probably both faster. It's both like in like some kind of cheap like
AWS.
cloud stuff. Slack had a complete data breach a while ago, so every data that was in Slack back then needs to be considered leaked. And yeah, the same applies with Microsoft. So that's the thing about that. You can run it self-hosted. And the thing about self-hosted is you got some certain customers. They also require that you don't leak information publicly. So that's the thing about it. You can run it self-hosted and under your own whatever security restriction and data compliance restriction you have, and you can comply with that. Or you can trust just Microsoft in the cloud, whatever you prefer.
So we have 7 more minutes. Is there any other question?
What is the proper way to install this Rocket.Chat? Is it, does it need an own server, or can it be installed along with the Drupal server?
It requires slightly more than a default Drupal installation, because that only needs database and the PHP and the web server. This one, as in slide, I can go back, but it takes web server and Nginx and MongoDB, Mongo, and then yeah, just Meteor compiles to Linux machine code. The easiest way to start with it is either with a snap on Ubuntu, or in a Docker container, or with Ansible in your favorite virtualization. And they wrote a lot of getting started playbooks, and it's all on the GitHub if you Google for Rocket.Chat.
But in fact, you could install it on the same server.
Yeah. You can
The thing, yeah, you could hack up the server and install both, but like then you have no isolation between those instances, which is security-wise not a good thing to do in general. When you got like different web applications and you run it in the same server context, that's not best practice in general. So you could hack it up, but like it's not something that we could recommend in that way. It's better than you put like this one in Snap and maybe you put the other stuff in your LXD or whatever stuff you like to use, or Shingles or whatever.
On Sandstone. Sandstone, yes.
Yes?
That's possible also because
I'll
it's
look into
separate.
I have no
How
idea.
does it with separation?
I'll look into it.
It does it with similar in for like Docker with C groups.
Secret.
Yeah, but there is not layered file system like in Docker, so the application files are all read-only, and then each data and application, one instance of it, only the data is saved and can be downloaded or deleted. There will be later feature that will enable also that all the range or the data parts can be encrypted at rest. So when a user is not logged in, everything is encrypted and cannot be accessed.
And just Docker is not really secure with the isolation parts because it only uses parts of the kernel namespace of the Linux kernel.
Yes,
And also
but
use
Sam-
that in ways.
yeah.
But maybe we can put this
But
discussion.
Sandstone is already security.
Yeah, we can have a look.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
One final question? No? And I brought some open source swag. So for it's for whiteboard magnets. Just two of these, and then you have like the standard 32 millimeters whiteboard magnet. You stick them on, and you can use them for your offline scrubbing, as well as, of course, Rocket.Chat stickers. But I want to use the last 4 minutes to teach you the Rocket.Chat. It's not the Rocket.Chat, but the Rocket. It goes like this. Join. After that, woo! That's a rocket. And you can use it in a team exercise just to get everybody really excited again. Go to the next one. Just part.